First of all, Chad, so I just follow on really from what Chris said today in terms of when you coach and when you learn. Someone asked a question about philosophy. Philosophy for me is just about decisions, okay? And trying to make the right decisions as often as possible. Does that make sense? Okay? Boys did very well then on what I consider to be a very bobby service. I know, for example, you may spend longer doing one aspect of the session, if that makes sense. The game at the end, I'm glad it was quite short, if I'm being honest, in terms of the time, because it's a bobby pitch. I felt the boys needed more repetition, more decisions. Floor's open, fire away.
Damon, is that a typical session that you would have done with a whole group of players that you've worked with in the past?
Yes, H. I mean, you can do that. It's a very basic session, if I'm being honest. Very basic session. But you can do that from 8, 9, 10-year-olds. Probably would not be so many players if it was with 8 and 9-year-olds. Done it with pros. And again, probably notice in terms of the two areas, the two squares, just in terms of not numbers, just more so that, and whether, if I was lucky enough, I had two assistants there, and I know sometimes you might not have assistants. The reason I like that as well, because I always want ownership. So if you notice, for me, and this is just my opinion, this group was better than that group. And the only reason they were better, they concentrated more. They just worked that little bit harder. And that's just, for me, next time as a coach, I would spend more with that group. Maybe they needed more showing, more demonstration. This group, they're getting the technique side, so maybe I'd spend more time with them when we went into the tactical side. So again, what I'm showing you there is you're looking how you utilise your time better with the amount of bodies you've got. Because you might only have an hour as well, you know. So I purposely didn't start my stopwatch because you don't want to keep looking at the watch, even though I would realistically 15 minutes for the 44, 15 minutes and 45 minutes for the game. But again, saying that at the beginning, if I needed 20 minutes for the technique, I would spend longer. And again, I'd maybe work with this group that much more. So I would have stopped it more with this group, I would have sort of made that group add more points emphasis because they were quite, straight away they got it, understood it, so they would have a bit more fun if you want in terms of the skill, but make it more competitive for them, where maybe they just needed more sort of demonstration.
Thank you so much for having the question. It's really different to what we see in the session plan. You know, it's a lot of ideas which, watching you, there's a lot of ideas different from the session. Just watch the session plan. You can watch any wonderful session plans, in a book, but watching the way you coach was really good. And just one question on, you work a lot of checking shoulders and playing the pass forward. On that note, some people work on look, touch, scan the shoulder, touch, then look and again play. Some people take a touch, look and play. So, what is your terminology, the way you work on?
Good question. Only probably in the last 4 or 5 years, 15 years, been lucky enough to coach, and then up until from the age of say 14 to 29 in the pro environment. Always as young players, and we laugh about it because they talk about the academy of football at West Ham. It was a wonderful way. We had some great teachers, good coaches, and they always used to emphasise back foot. So many times, back foot, so you became comfortable in that. But if you notice now, say the South American players or the Spanish players, they'll receive the ball closed. So a lot of times, I say, have a look on your shoulder, but I didn't emphasise back foot. And the reason I didn't emphasise back foot, because however you control the ball, to manipulate the ball, to play forward, which is my theme, is the right way. Because if that individual can master the ball in certain ways, because a lot of times someone's closed me down and I might not want the ball here, but the brave players actually want to have the ball there so they can suck a defender in. So I would never as a coach tell him not to do that. Whereas if you'd asked me 6 or 7 years ago, I would have said, receive on the back foot, receive it, he's going to tackle you. I'm actually doing that person a disservice because you might be actually trying to suck him in to actually just play very quick, you know? So there's never a big emphasis on back foot, even though it's important though to scan. It's really important to scan. Know what's around you, If you know what's around you, you can manipulate the ball however you want. So that's the big point for me. Again, that's why that group was better. They just naturally understood how to look. Again, this group here, I was saying specifically a colour. So it's more like we talk about, oh yeah, I'll go short, this one go long. But again, 50,000 might be in the crowd. It's just got to be off reaction. He might not hear my voice. If I can just see Mickey in my eye line, Mickey makes a movement there, then maybe I make another movement. Okay?
No, you said in the session outside before that group was stronger, and then that group was stronger. If you had a scenario where you had a couple players in the weaker group of the student, and you had the right numbers in that group, how would you adapt it so you're not holding back a couple of the strong players in the group before business?
Great question. At the beginning I said, because I don't know the players, you know, that's again part of we all say you must play in this session. And whether you have a beautiful booklet like this, you know, or a good old mentor I had, used to drive an academy manager mentor, because he could have his notes on a postage stamp, you know. So again, just having your notes about your players, because it's important that actually when you put the groups together, you have them type of scenarios. And it's not necessarily saying this person is weaker or stronger. What happens is the player, by putting him with someone who maybe does things a little bit sharper at that given stage of his development, helps that player. Again, it recognises this player, and about many individuals in the time who, because they are very talented, they actually get frustrated. It teaches you as a young player to be more humble, i.e. you're trying to help your teammate. Because now, if I see he's not moving, I end up maybe taking control, and look, we have the eye contact, I move, and then you have to move. So I'm helping you. So again, if I knew the players, you would try and balance it out. But again, in technique, everyone, as Chris said earlier, most people are one-footed. Should never have that idea. Got to practice on both feet. The aim should always be to get as high as possible off both sides. So again, receiving it both sides, whether you're good on the ball, not good on the ball, try to always encourage working on both sides. So it's not necessarily about the groups, it just becomes about the technique.
If we didn't have the assistants, how would you adapt to the session? Would you change anything?
Not the technique, because all I would have done, I just would have stood in the middle.
Yeah.
I would have looked at both groups, and again, that's where you have there's different stages of the session, because you've got the mic as well, where it's like self-learning, because it's very like the skill is actually, if I just break it down, the receiving skill was a movement, pass from that person, the receiving skill, and then another pass. So again, just that emphasis, your culture, your philosophy, if you want, the way you want to work, you've got to recognise, is it a firm pass, is it a soft pass? So as a coach, it's the best job in the world, because you can make it as hard as you want, or you can make it as calm as you want. I know that session, I would do that session, so we've done it, whatever we've done, 15, 20 minutes today. If I thought it was okay, we'd revisit maybe for 10, 12 minutes on the next session, just to see, and I wouldn't label it too much, I would just say, right, even before you, as you're setting up, for example, you're setting up your session, remember that session we done the other day? Go and do it just in pairs. So you actually, and just have a little look at them, and see if they start to improve, see if they start to have the little sort of body shape, looking over their shoulder. So stimulate them as best possible to replicate that session as many times as possible. Again, something, when you go into the game, the emphasis all the way through was that thing. So again, you're just looking the long picture all the time. So yeah, I would have spent more with them, as I said, just because they didn't get it, than that group. But cheers.
Just referring back to what you said about how you might, in the past, coach people to see on that foot, and now it's more about how do you receive the ball and forward. Is that kind of representative of a shift in your coaching style, where you're trying to give them the problem to solve rather than telling them how to solve it? Is that something you, and would you do that more at a certain age? Or?
Yeah, I think, you must master the skill first of all. That's the key. So if you're going to master the skill, it was really, you'd start off with a ball between two. And then we had groups of 4 that we worked in at the beginning, so all I'd say is you would just do a ball between 2. So each time it'd be a gradual progress in terms of where you get into. So no, I haven't changed in terms of, because I still encourage to receive on the back foot if that's the right decision to make. Because ultimately, the skill is the skill, and then the decision is the decision. If I can help that player to make the right decision, more often than not, you'll do it in a multitude of ways. So really today, there's like different coaching styles, and it was a little bit command at the beginning, at times a little bit Q&A, then a little bit of guided discovery. So you try to, and with that group that I don't know, it was a test to see what was the best way. Being blunt, I don't know, because I've only done 45 minutes with them. But I would revisit it, that session, I'd revisit that maybe twice in a working week to say, just to have a real look. Again, big emphasis in games, and then see where we're at.
Last question from me. Is there a specific age group you enjoy coaching?
Recently, got the sack in October. I'll say the sack after 15 years, so wasn't nice, but it was a relief in another one. I didn't want to coach. I went up to see Mickey in Liverpool, been invited back to many places, and I didn't want to coach in terms of I didn't enjoy it. I just wanted a break, and I wanted to go and watch, and I wanted to go and see, and I've been to many places, and what I've seen is lots of good coaching, lots of good environment, and then what I've done recently is just gone right back to grassroots. So I've gone back to under 11s the other week, and the girls are still playing in that group now, which I loved as well, because up until a certain age, the girls are technically just outstanding, because they just have a sort of, I find sometimes a better thought process and calmness. So again, on a Bobby pitch, and I moaned about the pitch, even though I loved it in another one, because what you saw was the boys, there was one or two in the group, wasn't there, switched off. And the reason they switched off, because they were just maybe a bit disappointed with themselves or disappointed with others. I didn't label that at all, because again, I don't know them. I would have done that after the session maybe, just to say, what did you think? How did you do in that session? What did you do well? What do you think you could do better? So I just spend that bit of time one-on-one. So I've just gone back and done grassroots. I love all. I've done community right through to first team. I have a lovely saying, which is playground to stadium. What I mean by that is that journey from when you was in that school playing playground up to the stadium, for me, never changed. Because it's the buzz, it's the love of being successful, what I wanted to improve, that you enjoy. So I don't mind whether I coach girls, boys, 6s, 7s, or seniors. What you enjoy is seeing the love that they give the game and want to get better each session.
European kind of game coaching, is there a big difference from the English game?
Great question, because I was lucky enough to work with Chris for 3.5 years, and then I worked with 3 farm managers at Charlton, which was good in terms of development. The defending side was like a throwback to when we was 13, 14. We just seen as we saw Leicester winning 4-4-2, the way they played, and the coach who came in at the time, he was very good, very defensively, but it was something you'd seen when you was young, 13, 14. So it wasn't as if it was new. And I think there's a misconception, unfortunately, that everyone abroad is much better than British, coaches. Far from it. Big emphasis, as we mentioned, it's all about people. All about people, it's all about the dynamics of people, it's all about what makes that person good, what he brings to the team. So, to use the example, the foreign coaches are quite methodical in terms of we must work this way. And then they adapt a little bit. You see Van Gaal, Man United, he's found it quite hard to adapt, but there's been sort of changes and Man United had a slight improvement. So I found with the 3 foreign coaches, they came in with a misconception of the British game. They thought the English coaches wasn't prepared. They thought the English players wasn't technically at a decent level. But within 4 to 5 weeks, loved the football, respected the country and the amount of divisions we have in this country and how successful at each level them teams are and how good them teams are as well, which they don't actually have. So again, every experience has been a good experience, but I don't always make out that what they're telling us is obviously brand new or different to how you want to learn.
That's lovely, thanks very much.
Now time.
I'm sure you're about to fly along right now.
My main question is about communication. How do you bring up the communication? Other 2 weeks back, I was Wales versus Belgium under 15s.
France, Belgium.
Yeah. Sorry. Wales versus benching, under 16. So the way benching and communicating was without more, and I stopped they communicating only when they went 2 men down in the match. So how do you go about bringing the communication, because a lot of coaches problem for everyone.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, probably going back to the end of the last question, is that so important whether you have a long time or a short time, whatever time you've got, you have to know the dynamics of the group, you have to know the personalities in the group. So a way of doing it for me at the beginning is very much small groups. So that might be pairings, for example. It might be, say, like the two central defenders, the right back, the right side midfield player. Really encourage them to be clear how they're playing. Because in the game, there's just that moment. It might be that the team is hurting you down a certain side, and it is mainly the right back and, say, the right winger, for example. So you would try to help them first of all. Now, if you could get that message across, brilliant. It might then be to the goalkeeper might need to talk to someone. So just try and small sort of individuals, even though I mentioned two there, but individual, then looking maybe at a unit and then trying to affect the team. I don't think you can affect the team without affecting them parts, first of all.
Boys, round of applause for Damian Matthew.